Good evening. We are on the bank of the sacred river Ganges in the holy city of Benares, and we have the honor to talk with Mr. Amitabh Bhattacharya, professor at University of Journalism in Varanasi, about Indian culture and spirituality. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And to begin with, please tell us a few words about yourself.
I'm Amitabh Bhattacharya. Basically, I belong to a family of Oriental scholars. My ancestors came from the eastern part of India. Today, it is Bangladesh. After the division of this country in 1947, it was earlier East Pakistan. Then once again they struggled for their freedom. Now it has become Bangladesh. So our family belonged to that eastern part of India, but we are here for over centuries. I started my career as a student of Sanskrit literature and philosophy. Then I prepared to join journalism and am part-time faculty member of journalism as well as I work with a newspaper, print media. This is what, at a glance, what I am.
What can you tell us about the city of Benares, the holy place of Hinduism?
Benares, Varanasi is a typical mystic city for me, a city with an uninterrupted lifeline for over 6,000 years, a city with altogether 22 names in this long period, has a different identity. Common people say this is a religious city, but actually, this city is spiritual. For religion, at least there would be three major problems: communalism, fanaticism, and fundamentalism. Whereas a spiritual life is not haunted by the fears of such deviations. So, Benares is spiritual. On government papers, it is Varanasi. Local people call it Benares or Banaras. For Indian pilgrims, it is Kashi, Anand Kanan, Mahasmashan, Gauri Peeth, number of names with philosophical meaningfulness. It's a beauty with Indian society, particularly, that if you name a person or a place, it ought to be meaningful. Like my name, Amitabh, it is two words, Amit and Ava. Amit is unlimited, Ava is light. So joining together, it means unlimited light. That is an adjective for sun. While naming, my parents must have thought that I should glitter. I should come up to the expectation of the name. I should justify the name. The same way, Varanasi, a name with a meaning. This city is surrounded by four rivers. In the east, it is River Ganga. In the west, it is River Gomati. In the north, it is River Varuna. And the southern end is River Assi. Thus, a place or a geography in between Varuna and Assi, that is why it is Varanasi. It is a mystic city for me, and perhaps that is the reason which inspired me to understand the meaningfulness of this beautiful city. Historically, philosophically, anthropologically, sociologically, with all aspects, it's a big subject to study and big subject to understand.
What is your relationship with the university students? And how do you perceive them as a young generation in the middle of this huge oasis of spirituality and modern life?
Today, in this 21st century, students are more self centered, I don't know it is whether the effect of science or modernization, they are less collective, less plural. They are in a crowd, but they are supposed to be individuals. It appeared to be like an individual. Whereas Varanasi is actually a pluralistic society. It's really pluralistic with 2000, more than 2000 temples, more than 200 mosques, almost 300 Buddhist monastery, church, Chinese temple, and Jew temples. It's a pluralistic society. So the basic message from this society, this city, to the world community is live together. It's a beautiful city of peaceful coexistence. It's a marvelous blending of religions, sects, culture, and overall humanity. This is the message we want to create to the world community, to the people of the world, that it is possible. Benares has proved it, how to live together.
So, what we should understand is that here in Benares, there are no misunderstandings between Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists.
So far Buddhists are concerned, this country believes that Lord Buddha happens to be one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu. Thereby, this whole country believes Lord Buddha is one of their god and deity. There is nothing to think about even conflict with Buddhists. So far this city is concerned, this city love to live together with Muslims and Muslims do the same. Because maybe the religion is different. Otherwise the population, they are the same DNA origin. Genetically they are equal Indian as Hindus are. So in this city we have no problem, such problem of conflicts, hatred. All right, most of the time we saw conflicts. That is actually the creation of malified people with their vested interests. I don't say political interests. There are a number of vested interests behind such conflicts. Otherwise, this city is beautiful picture of peaceful coexistence.
Now, speaking a little about Benares and its inhabitants, do you think that poverty can shape people for the better towards a more decent level of human feeling? More empathetic with their peers? Does it somehow make them better? Or, on the contrary, does it have a negative effect?
Actually, before reaching to the point of poverty, I would say something different. That is the influx of population. India was British colony for over 190 years, and in 1947 this country attained freedom. But that freedom was costly for us because we had to pay huge dearness for that. While leaving this country, Britishers divided this country into three pieces, creating two Pakistans in the east and the west. Today, the East Pakistan is known as Bangladesh, and Pakistan is the western part. Immediately after the division, this country received in first phase almost 22 million Hindu people who became refugees. This city accommodated a huge number of refugees that time, followed by 5 wars with our two neighbors, China and Pakistan. Every time we are receiving refugees. In 1962, around in mid 60s of last century, it was China, our northeast neighbor, invaded Tibet. Almost 500,000 Tibetan population came to Varanasi under the leadership of His Holiness Dalai Lama, and Buddhist people are living, Tibetan Buddhists are living since then in Sarnath areas. So this city with a maximum infrastructure of 500,000 people, now it is 2.5 million. Naturally, it's a problem. It's a overburst of population. One more thing, unfortunately, due to improper economic growth of our country, it is semi feudal, semi agricultural, semi industrial. Obviously, Varanasi, since the only proper developed township in 200 square kilometer area of this province, Uttar Pradesh, one of the northern provinces of India, large number of rural people, they are pouring into city system for employment and other things. Naturally, poverty is a reality. Without ensuring proper industrial growth at the rural areas, at the remotest possible villages, it is huge unemployment. They are coming to the city either for a job or they are banking upon the philanthropies of people. Since it is a spiritual or partially religious city, and in every religion there is a scope of charity. So, a certain amount of population, a good amount of population, they are banking on charities. Obviously, they are dependent, they are parasite people. I don't say they are just suffering for their poverty, but unfortunately, they want to vote, but without a sincere and proper job provided to them, they are suffering. So, poverty is actually a follow up reality of improper economic growth.
What do you think are the appropriate government measures to help correct these problems?
Well, with massive human resources as well as natural resources, if there had been a very serious political leadership in this country, with an eagerness to go for an industrialization, this country would have been something different. Today we are mere importers, but it could have been possible that India happens to be one of the biggest exporters. So we need a very serious industrialization, a very serious industrialization at our grassroots level. It's a large country. East, south, or western part of India is better growing, is effectively playing their economic growth, whereas in the northern part, we are not at par to the race. Growth is there, but the rate is like elephant walk. It should have been like a leopard's run. So we are eagerly waiting for a massive change. Since basically this country is with three qualities. One, this is a democratic setup. Number two, this country is peace loving. Number three, it's a secular country. It may take some time to grow, but there are immense possibilities in this country that it will come up and someday it may be the leader of the world. And Benares has to play a very important role during those days because this city is a message, is a flag, is a torchlight of aesthetical and ethical values of India. In the name of modernization, everyone should avoid vulgar materialism. I like internet. I like software science. But I am aware of one thing. that most of the time, due to improper education, improper moral guidance, our younger generation, rather younger generation of the world, they are downloading trash materials more from computers than of good materials. So that way, the younger generation of this country should get certain philosophical guidance from Benares to understand that materialism is good, but not at the cost of ethical values.
Because you were talking about education before, how do you see the implementation of education in Benares?
This city happens to be academia for over a few thousand years. The first open university in the world was in this city. It was almost BC 800. This city had an open university. Even today, with five internationally famous universities, two very famous engineering and medical institutes, this city has an academia. In Benares, in the university, it is a beautiful blending of modern science and oriental studies. In Kashi Vidyapit, it is beautiful blending of science and humanities. In Sampurnananda Sanskrit University, it is for all Indian philosophies and religion, Sanskrit literature, language. In Zamia Millia Ashelfia is for the higher studies of Islamic philosophy and Arabic language, as well as Higher Institute for Tibetan Studies at Sarnath. It is an university for Buddhism. So, with five universities, this city is an academia. In addition to, this city had always been a laurel in its cap. That is, it happens to be the highest seat of learning of Indian classical music. So, with music, academics, and spiritualism, this city is trying to inculcate the younger generation better senses of education, because for me literacy is a small thing. Knowledge of alphabet or arithmetic is literacy. We want education. Education is actually a purification process of mind and soul. A literate person may not be pluralistic, but an educated person would obviously think about society, that is pluralism, living together. So we need to develop the senses of living together. We believe, this city believe, that liberty is actually recognition of others' need. So unless and until we recognize others' need, we are not even free. So we are fighting for this betterment. We want to tell our younger generation that there are two types of bondages. One bondage that is in the outer world, another bondage that is the bondage of soul. So think better, think positive. And in this city, we teach one more thing. If there is half glass water, instead of stating half glass empty, we always try to say this half glass filled. This is the positive way to think, half glass filled. So we need a positive setup of mind. Despite this large population, every day we are receiving new population, new people in the city. Despite all this problem, the basic idea of this city is to tell, be human first. Religion is your personal practice or habit or belief. Keep it within four walls of your family. In the society, first and foremost reality is you are a human being and behave accordingly.
You talk about computers and internet, and at the same time about spirituality. What is your opinion about the interference of computers in the daily life of the city of Benares?
The computer is a reality today in our social system. Recently, our state government, headed by a very young chief minister, he thought to provide almost 1.5 million computers to the students. It is from the government fund because he thought that the students should get equal opportunity to progress. Basically, this country is feudal. At least in the northern part, it is a reality, it's a predominant reality. Obviously, this system you may call a male chauvinistic society. So, girls were not getting proper opportunities to come up and grow at par to the boys. So, our chief minister thought to provide these remedies to the students, particularly for the girls. Let them come up at par to the boys for a better social development. So, computer is a reality in our province. What I am worried about that mere computers or providing computers is not enough. We need a very serious education to tell the children, well, use it to develop better knowledge, use it to develop your IQ level and MQ level, but not that be a slave of a computer. So computerization of education is good, but computerization of mind is bad. So what we want to communicate that use computer to enhance your qualities, but never use computer to reduce your values.
Now, coming back to the city of Benares, there are so many stories about the river Ganges in international folklore. How do you see the history of the spiritual river coexisting with the history of Benares?
Ganga is the lifeline of this country, the base of a civilization. Almost all large cities with cultural heritages, it is in the bank of Ganga. So Ganga is not only spiritual, pious for the people, rather it is the lifeline of whole northern India. It is considered as the holiest river, and holiness is not only concerned with the life beyond death, but holiness is concerned with the life itself in this earth. It's a beautiful stream dancing down from the Himalayas. It flows to the Bay of Bengal. So it's a beautiful river and it's a lifeline of whole North India or Gangetic civilization.
In the past days, here was an important Hindu holiday. Can you please tell us something about this ceremony and about its importance among the Hindu people?
Kartik Purnima. Purnima is full moon. So in Indian system, like Gregorian calendar is January, February, March, all 12 months. We have months with Indian name. Kartik is one of those months. First, it starts with summer. It is Vaishak. Then the second, in the sometime, the Vaishak means from 14th April to 14th May. From 14th May to 14th June, it is Jasht, then Ashar, the first part of rain, then Shravan, the second part of rain, then Bhadra, then Ashwin, then Kartik. It is the seventh month. It is in between 15, 16 October to 15, 16 or 17 November. So we believe our doctrines tell us that this full moon is a symbolic thing. The full moon of 15th or 16th October paved the month known as Kartik. Another name of Kartik is Purushottam, that is the best human. Purush is human, Uttam is the best, the highest form of the superlative degree. So we believe that if an ordinary person start practicing goodness, start practicing goodness every day, in the course of time, after the completion of that month, that goodness can reach to the state of godness in the full moon, followed by the month known as Agrayana or Margashirsha in our doctrine Gita. One of the verses spelled by the God Himself was Gita. In that, Lord Krishna said, I am Margashirsha. That means I am the month followed by Kartik. So if a person gradually grows better to best, ultimately, in the end of Kartik, at the juncture of Margasirsha, that goodness can take the person to godness. So we believe that human can transform into God. This is a social inspiration as well as a cultural and religious inspiration that yes, do better, you can also attain. So God is not mere El Dorado. God is a reality and you can reach it. So this is actually a social inspiration through religion to tell the people, be human, be good. Ultimately, this goodness will take you to godness. So Kartik Purnima is godness. And on that day, the whole city celebrates a day and evening with light, with small earthen lamps in their hands around the river, on the banks of the river, around the whole city. People light their lamps and they pray that, oh God, you are the absolute light. We are the small and limited lights. Allow us to emerge in your bigger shining, in your bigger light. So we believe that if it is a drop of water, someday or other it will roll down to the ocean. So the end of the drop is ocean. God is that ultimate reality. One can just roll down and emerge into that godness. So these small lights, these small earthen lamps are the symbols of humans and their eagerness to emerge into the bigger light, the divinity, the divine light.
How do you think that the modern mind of a young student perceives this holy holiday? And how is it perpetuated in their families?
I cannot just say that this philosophy is very easy to understand by the students. It's a very tough and difficult philosophy to understand. So, though we tell it to them, but what I think, it takes a long time to consume in their system. Gradually, they would understand. Most of the time, we saw in the schools even there are only few students who score better than 90%. Otherwise, it is average student less than 60%. So, this is a message for quality people, quality student to understand. And let us hope someday would come when everybody will understand this reality. But today, it is for a section of sensible, emotionally charged, better human beings, better students, and their good families to understand.
How do you consider the future of this holiday?
Well, what I think that it should be celebrated in both the ways. Instead of everybody coming down to the river bank, it's now really overcrowded. There are possibilities of serious accidents. So it should be decentralized in the whole city. Everyone should celebrate in their respective houses. It would be better remedy instead of coming down to the banks. It would be a logical one that celebrate it at your rooftop, celebrate in front of your house in your locality. Otherwise, it's a big city today. Large number of pilgrims are coming, along with huge number of foreign tourists. It may be something untowards in future if we don't take care of it. So we should care that not at the cost of human security, it would be celebrated. So we need to dissolve it, rather decentralize it amongst the whole population instead of centralizing upon the banks of the river. All right, it is a marvelous scene to look at. It's a big series of ghats, almost 10.5-kilometer area in the western bank of the river Ganga. Varanasi is situated. Interestingly, just against the normal course of a river journey in Varanasi, Ganga, the river is flowing to the north, which is just an abnormal geographical reality. So we think our philosophies say that this north flowing stream is a meaning, it's a message to communicate that even river Ganga is introspecting in Benares. She is also checking within. So this is a philosophical journey in Benares, introspection, checking within. So Ganga is giving a message to the population by flowing to the north in a crescent shape, this 10.5-kilometer area of ghats. It's a beautiful look to see. It's glittering with lights, but we should take serious care about probable accidents and hazards. So my suggestion would be there. Let this be decentralized in the population. Let it be celebrated in the whole city so that the exuberance pressure on the ghats is checked.
How do you see the future of the city of Benares? More spiritual, more cultural, or maybe more commercial?
No, commerce is a reality. I cannot deny commerce. But despite all commercial activities, basically this city is spiritual. That is the heart. That is the mind of the body. Some part of the body, some organs of the body may be commercial, may be scientific, but the soul of this system is obviously spiritual, blended with cultural heritages. This city is actually the best city of Indian lineage, cultural lineage. So I don't think any threat is there that commercialism will overpower its sanctity as well as its spiritual look. It would be there untarnished. All right, commerce should be there. It's the helping hand. It is for the betterment of the people of the city. There should be commercial. My suggestion is grow with commercialism, but avoid vulgar commercialism.
What is your point of view regarding tourists coming to Benares? Are they ready to enter this more special and perhaps more difficult to understand world?
If you say foreign tourists only, that means they are coming here to look at the city only. There are a good number of people who come to Varanasi to understand this city, to study this city, to feel the city. So, mere coming from the foreign countries is not enough. The intention of coming is the matter to care. So, good number is coming to look at this heritage city, look at this river, Sarnath and other places. So, they are tourists with a journey, sensible journey for the outer world. But there are a good number of people coming to this city to understand this cultural blending, to understand the senses of humanity in Benares. They are the students. So, always, how you are coming is not the fact. Why you are coming is the reality. So, I think in future also, large number of people would come to this city for academic purposes, for Indian classical music. Good number of foreign students are living in this city to learn and understand Indian classical music. So they are here with different intention. Their notions are different. So I wish whoever come to this city while living, while going back to the native country, they must carry the message of this city. Live together, love together, be a carefree mind.
What is your dream regarding Benares?
To make a human society, at least this city, God loving than of God fearing.
Do you see any challenges in achieving this dream?
There are challenges. Woods are lonely, dark, and deep. But I have promises to keep, miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
You spoke at the beginning about the fact that you also work for the newspaper of the city of Benares. What is your contribution to this newspaper?
It's a beautiful thing with Indian democracy that we have a very strong judiciary, good legislation, a sensible executives, and the fourth state, Indian media. It is really healthy media. Electronic media reality is just 3.5 decades old in our country. Otherwise, it had been print media. Print media is only effective when you get a literate mass. So unfortunately, in the northern part of India, the literacy rate was a bit low. Naturally, the media role was there, but it was less effective so far effects on the people were concerned. But today, with electronic media, it is fantastic. Indian media is performing very good. The vernacular media in this country is really effective. And in our city, if we say local media, that means the vernacular newspapers, they are very effectively playing role in the social changes, particularly The media is joining hands with our younger generation. 52% of our population, young people, and they want a radical change in the system. They are against corruption, they are against other orthodox stupidities. So media is joining hand with this younger generation, and local media is very effective that way. And we are just trying to speed up a very good social change.
Because we kept talking about the press and its freedom. What can you tell us about freedom of speech?
Freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It is almost 75% powerfully implemented in our country. All right, everywhere there are vested interest people, there are dirty minds who don't believe in the rights of democracy, there are intolerant people, but even then, overall, this country, it believes in the freedom of expression. If you see the history of our philosophies, it is all freedom of speeches, it's freedom of thought provocation. We have almost 100, rather more, sects in Hindu religion. That means we accepted this antagonism, we accepted these non antagonistic contradictions in our system. It shows that we believe in the philosophy of expression, freedom of expression. This country is basically the first and foremost promoter of freedom of expression, freedom of thought provocation. And our history is the evidence that our philosophers, all our educational schools and their scholars, they had that freedom, and that is why they could produce better results contradicting others.
From what I understand, the newspaper you collaborate with was created by you out of the will to educate the masses. I understood correctly? Why this difficult project?
Our organization happens to be the first newspaper published in this country by an Indian owner. Earlier, it was Times of India, a British publication by Bennett and Coleman. But it was great editor Mahatma Shishir Kumar Ghosh, an eminent scholar of Bengal, who started this newspaper. Name was Amrit Bazar Patrika from Calcutta in mid 19th century. So this is a great lineage of Indian journalism. Later, during Second World War, his son, joint editor Tushar Kanti Ghosh, started an edition from Allahabad, an adjacent district of Benares, and there he started Amrit Bazar Patrika, the English newspaper, and one Hindi edition known as Amrit Patrika. In 1959, the name was changed and later it became Northern India Patrika. Since then, this newspaper is active in whole eastern UP as a leading newspaper, and our proprietors, basically their mind setup is journalistic. They are less proprietor, more journalist, and that is the reason they always use their twin newspapers for the causes of the people. We are a front-line crusader for the masses. We stand for the masses. We are not for the classes only. We are for the masses of this province.
Digressing a little, but staying in the spiritual and educational area. For us, climbing mountains outside is climbing mountains inside. What is the view of Hinduism regarding the mountain?
Mountain, it's got two meaning. One, the senses of toughness. Another, the symbol of height. So to climb a mountain is actually to climb with tough realities and to climb with the top. And third thing, what India tells to the world, that mountain is another symbol we should understand. That if you go to the top of a mountain, the smaller geographical differences, the smaller human differences are seized. The mountain can tell you, mountain can produce an universal look. All the geographical differences are not there. It is just a green or a clean void. It's a platonic state of mind. So mountain is a very much symbol for Indian lifestyle. All right, should collect experiences, should transfer these experiences to the younger generation. But after reaching the top of the mountain, you should understand that small topographical differences are not there. If there would have been a mountain near to the height of moon, we would have seen the world as a single canvas without the differences of America, Europe, or what India. It would have appeared like a single landscape, all human beings with equal size, color, and beauty. So, this thought provocation will help them to get out of communal ideas, to get out from racial ideas, and to become a sensible human being. Now, friends, I have said about my ambition, my goal, my Everest. Now you need to tell me, what is your Everest? Where you want to reach? What is the target of your life is? Well, I can suggest you, before setting a goal, please ensure two things. Please understand only one thing. It is said in our philosophy, in Indian philosophy, Charanabai Madhu Bindati, one who can only attain the nectar, who proceeds, who moves ahead. So the best target in the life is to move ahead. And that means you rectify your all previous mistakes, you better your future journey and set a target. The best target is a successful human being, not a successful man. Grow to the height of a tree where millions of birds can take shelter under your grace. So be a graceful human being. Be the glittering star of this planet, what we call Earth, the beautiful Earth.
We thank you so much for these precious minutes spent together, making us share the rich treasure of teachings and words of Hindu culture and spirituality. A wonderful evening, and we hope to meet again next year.
Sure. Thank you very much.